They're the artful adventurers on a mission to recover the missing Crystal Shards. It's Adeleine Ribbon from the Kirby series. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I was expecting y'all to request another Kirby character outside the 5 I've already talked about, I was expecting you guys to request characters like Dark Matter, Gooey, or even Rick, Kine, and Ku as a 3-in-1 sort of fighter. But Adeleine Ribbon? Call me crazy, but I honestly didn't think people actually cared about these two. But I'm glad I've been proven wrong. Anyways, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Adeleine Ribbon, they made their first appearance in the game Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards, which originally released on the Nintendo 64 in the year 2000. Starting off with Adeleine is a young human girl who loves to paint using her blue paintbrush. As most people already know, painters are extremely talented individuals who can look at an object, a person, or a landscape and can recreate said things on a canvas by using a wide variety of paint. However, unlike most painters, Adeleine has the very odd ability to literally paint things into existence. No joke, whatever Adeleine paints on her canvas, the painting will literally manifest into the real world. I guess you could say that Adeleine's art is so lifelike, am I right? Okay, please don't throw your maximum tomatoes at me. As for Ribbon is a part of the fairy tribe from the planet known as Ripple Star. Her and her tribe also happen to be the guardians of a sacred crystal that protects the planet from harm. However, this soon changed when Dark Matter invaded Ripple Star to use the crystal's power for himself. Ribbon tried to take the crystal with her to protect her planet, but accidentally caused Dark Matter to follow her and destroy the crystal. But after she crash landed on the planet Popstar, she met the lovable pink ball that we all know and love, Kirby, and the two teamed up to retrieve all the Crystal Shards all throughout the galaxy. And even though Adeleine and Ribbon only had a single major role in that game, that didn't stop them from making small cameos in other Kirby titles. But today, Adeleine and Ribbon will team up and go against some of the other iconic duos on the Super Smash Bros. Roster. So starting off, Adeleine and Ribbon together would be a relatively below average midweight character. They'd have a grand total of 6 jumps by using Ribbon's wings and would have no other movement options. But now, let's dive into their costumes. Well, actually before that, this video is sponsored by StreamStation PC. For those of you who've never heard of StreamStation PC, StreamStation PC is a website that sells PC equipment, but not just any PC equipment. Each PC here is custom made and was made with gaming in mind. These are high quality gaming PCs that can run up to 60 frames per second and even supports 4K resolution. So if you'd like to order a custom made gaming PC, head on over to StreamStationPC.com. And if you'd like to get a small discount while simultaneously supporting my channel, then use the promo code on screen. And now, back to the video. Okay, now let's dive into their costumes. For Adeleine and Ribbon's default appearance, they'd both be in their iconic green and red attire. For the next 3 alts, this will have them both in the multiplayer color schemes from Kirby Star Allies, which have them in yellow, blue, and green. For the 4th alt, Adeleine and Ribbon get pink clothes. This is an obvious reference towards Kirby himself. For the 5th alt, Adeleine and Ribbon's clothes turn white, red, and yellow while their hair turns black. This references the ruler of Ripple Star, who is simply referred to as the Ripple Queen. For the 6th alt, Adeleine gets a purple color scheme while Ribbon gets a blue and brown color scheme. Now, Adeleine's color scheme references her second player color scheme that she gets in the multiplayer mode of Kirby 64, while Ribbon is meant to reference Adeleine's 3rd and 4th player color schemes from the same mode. And the final alt will have Adeleine and Ribbon swap colors. Obviously, they both reference each other. Now with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the moveset. Now, even though Adeleine and Ribbon helped out Kirby throughout all of Kirby 64, they didn't actually do much of the fighting, so making a moveset for these two was pretty challenging compared to the other 5 I've already talked about. However, after doing some research, I decided the best way to make a moveset for these two would be to base them off of their playable appearance in Kirby Star Allies. Now of course, I will be making some attacks that are thematically fitting for both Adeleine and Ribbon, but you will mostly be controlling Adeleine for this moveset. Really, Ribbon is best saved for the specials, but I'll go over that later. So starting off with a jab, it'll be a 3-hit jab where Adeleine swings her paintbrush like a sword. It's a pretty quick attack, but doesn't deal a whole lot of damage. Oh, as a small side note, Adeleine here has a minor gimmick involving the paintbrush that is very similar towards Inkling's gimmick. Basically, every time Adeleine lands an attack while she uses her paintbrush, then the opponents will be covered in paint, which causes them to deal slightly more damage than before. But unlike Inkling, every time Adeleine attacks for this moveset, the color of the paint will randomly change. So she could cover them in green paint 1 minute and then cover them in blue paint the next. For the dash attack, Adeleine runs forwards while swinging her brush multiple times, dealing multiple hits of damage until the final hit. This runs as one of Adeleine's running attacks from Kirby Star Allies. For the side tilt, Adeleine swings her paintbrush forwards. It deals a good amount of damage compared to most side tilts, but it also doesn't launch foes all that far. It can also be slightly aimed up or down. For the down tilt, Adeleine performs a sliding kick on the ground. This move is useful for dodging higher attacks, but also has a bit of end lag once the attack ends. For the up tilt, Adeleine waves her paintbrush upwards 2 times. It deals 2 hits of damage and can launch foes pretty high into the air, just like Villager's up tilt. Now for Adeleine Ribbon's forward smash, Adeleine will swing her paintbrush a single time. But what you didn't know was that Ribbon also swings this brush alongside Adeleine, which makes this move a lot stronger than usual. But because it's pretty strong, that also means that this move ends a bit with some end lag. For the down smash, Adeleine and Ribbon swing the paintbrush on the ground multiple times. Despite spinning, they only launch foes on impact. For the up smash, Adeleine and Ribbon swing the paintbrush upwards a single time, but when they swing it, they leave behind a paint trail in the air, which lingers for about a minute and disappears as soon as the move ends. Unfortunately, not only does this move have a bit of end lag, but it also doesn't launch foes all that high. For the neutral air, Adeleine spins with her paintbrush a few times. Again, despite spinning, she only launches foes on impact. For the forward and back air, Adeleine swings her paintbrush multiple times, which can deal multiple hits of damage until the final hit. For the down air, Adeleine will paint eye downwards, which will behave like a gravity-affected projectile. No joke, his name is literally I. And no, not spelled like that, I'm talking about the letter I. Don't question Masahiro Sakurai's great work, I'm pretty sure he had a reason for coming up with this character anyways. And finally, for the up air, Adeleine will paint upwards multiple times, dealing multiple hits of damage until the final hit. But where Adeleine and Ribbon get creative is with their special attacks. For Adeleine and Ribbon's neutral special, Adeleine will equip a crystal gun and shoot 2 crystal shards forwards. These crystal shards may sound like projectiles, but in reality, they're actually a small moving hitbox that can be spammed for as long as you want, similar towards Bayonetta's bullets. However, it's not exactly recommended to spam it. You see, despite not being a projectile, it will leave Adeleine and Ribbon stuck in place every time they use the special button. Not only that, but the crystal shards themselves move pretty slow, so keep all that in mind when you use the special button. This references one of the weapons Kirby used in the final boss fight of Kirby 64. Yes, technically Kirby was the only one who used this weapon in that game, but it was also given to Adeleine and Ribbon in Kirby Star Allies as one of their aerial attacks. Oh, speaking of aerial attacks, I should also mention this, but the move will visually change in the air. Normally on the ground, Adeleine is the one holding the crystal gun. However, if you're in the air, then Ribbon will grab onto Adeleine while Adeleine shoots the crystal forwards. Again, kinda referencing how it looked in Kirby 64. Now for Adeleine and Ribbon's side special, Adeleine will summon a canvas and paint on it. But when she paints, the painting comes to life and appears on stage, acting as a CPU ally to Adeleine and Ribbon. If this move sounds familiar, then you're probably thinking of Bowser Jr.'s down special where he creates a Mecha Koopa. However, unlike the Mecha Koopa, where it remains consistent every time you use the down special, the painted ally for Adeleine and Ribbon will be random every time you use the side special. There are 3 different types of paintings that Adeleine will paint, and each painting has its own unique properties to aid Adeleine and Ribbon on the battlefield. Despite that, all of these allies will disappear if they take a total of 12% of damage, or if they stay on screen for about 6 seconds, whichever happens first. The first painted ally is Batamon.
Looking at 23, are you stupid? That's obviously Kirby. He's unmistakably round and pink, so he's gotta be Kirby.
Well, I hate to be the guy to correct you, but that's actually not Kirby. You see, Batamons may look like Kirby, but don't have Kirby's iconic copy ability. Not only that, there are a few tiny key elements to make them separate from Kirby. Really, the best thing to compare them to is a Waddle Dee. But imagine that Waddle Dee was 10 times more pink. So to properly represent that, this painted Batamon will only be able to walk forwards or backwards at any given time and deal damage to opponents by bumping into them. The second painted ally is a Ghost Knight. Unlike Batamon, who deals damage by bumping into foes, Ghost Knight is able to attack by using its lance. Not only that, but it's also able to neutralize projectiles with its shield, meaning that any and all projectiles will be destroyed as soon as it hits Ghost Knight's shield. And the final painted ally is a character known as Eye. Eye is basically a thwomp within the Kirby series. It rises into the air and immediately comes crashing down when a player happens to have been close to it. Now for Smash, it won't exactly work like that. Instead, it performs a short hop, stops midair, and then plummets down to the ground. If a player happens to have been directly beneath Eye, then it'll automatically bury them into the ground. So this painted ally could be useful for all sorts of follow-ups. Now even though Eye sounds like a pretty reliable painted ally, he's actually the rarest ally to appear. As I previously mentioned, this side special will have Adeleine paint a random ally, the key word being random. So please keep that in mind. Now there is one last thing I should mention about this side special. You can only have one painted ally on screen at a time, so you can't just keep spamming this special button like how the Crystal Gun was. Now for Adeleine Ribbon's down special, this is yet another move where Adeleine will utilize her canvas, but this time she paints a bunch of items. Once she paints these items, they'll pop out of the canvas and appear on the stage. From there on out, they behave like regular items that the player can grab and interact with. Now I should also mention this, but every time you use the down special, a total of 5 items will appear. Usually these items will be food items, but there is a small chance the items to appear on stage could be a KO bat, assist trophy, a Pokeball, or even a Smash Ball. The downside with this move is that it has a 20-second cooldown every time you use it, so make sure to use this move wisely. And finally, for the up special, Adeleine Ribbon will spin together on the ground for a brief second, then continuously spin and rise into the air. The spinning deals multiple hits of damage until the final hit, similar towards Toon Link's up special. But unlike Toon Link's up special, this move doesn't force Adeleine Ribbon to go into freefall, so they're freely able to perform any of their other attacks or even keep jumping, so long as it's not their up special again. Now normally this is where I dive right into the final smash, but I'm still not done talking about the up special. There's one more thing that I'll be incorporating with this up special. As soon as Adeleine Ribbon start to spin, their entire hitbox counts as a reflector. In other words, this up special will be able to reflect projectiles. Not only that, but it will double the speed of the projectile, so the reflected projectiles will fly much faster than usual. As a reminder, the reflector side of this move only works during the spinning. It doesn't happen at the start or the end of the move. On top of that, there is another thing I'm adding to this. At the very start of the move, Adeleine Ribbon will actually be able to pull any and all items that happen to be nearby them, but only at the start of the move, not during the middle of the move. And now, for the final smash. Adeleine Ribbon's final smash will be Ultimate Painting. For this final smash, Adeleine's canvas starts to grow in the background of the screen. Once it's done growing, both Adeleine and Ribbon start to paint various enemies throughout the Kirby series to aid them in battle. The painted allies that appear this time around are Krakos, Wayus, and Ice Dragons, with each of these characters covering the stage with lightning beams, ninja stars, and ice. Then, after 10 seconds of this madness, the painted allies explode, which acts as the final blow to the opponents and ends the final smash. This final smash is a reference towards both Addo's usual pattern of attacking in Kirby's Dream Land 3, as well as Adeleine's common pastime of painting till her heart's content. The stage choice is Ripple Star from Kirby 64. This stage layout is reminiscent of the Smashville stage in Smash, where it's a flat layout with no walls and a single platform. Occasionally, the stage's background will get covered in a black mist. When that happens, the stage will briefly get dark until 10 seconds have passed, which causes the players to not be able to see themselves on stage. After this, the black mist disappears and flies away. In the background, you can see various fairies and the Ripple Queen cheering on the players. As most of you have already guessed, I'll be going with songs that appeared in Kirby 64. In total, 12 songs would be included, 8 of which would be remixed. And that would be if Adeleine Ribbon joined Super Smash Bros. Even though I'm not personally a big fan of Kirby 64, I understand why other people do enjoy it. It really was the kickstart to modern 3D Kirby games as we know it, so even if I prefer some of the other Kirby adventures more, I have a lot of respect for Kirby 64. Anyways, do you have a character you'd like to see be given a Smash moveset? If so, let me know in the comments down below. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe? That way you can get notified when I put out any Super Smash Bros. Moveset videos. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.